Hello, and thank you for joining us for this presentation. In this presentation, we're going to touch base on contract form or case review and initiation. Quite a mouthful. The objective is really to get down to simplifying the startup of this review, as well as maintaining the standards while doing the review. Now, of course, the first question you're probably asking is, why should you watch this video? Well, I've got some questions here that'll help us get to that answer. The first is, do you receive a number of requests to review documents, contracts, or forms? Some might say the creation of a case. Do you need to capture certain information about these requests in order to search or track them? Would it be helpful to automatically create a unique identifier for each request? Is there a workflow required for each request? Perhaps the workflow is specific to the type of request that you're initiating. Is security also required for this request? The idea being you want to have security where only certain people can see that particular request. Would it be valuable to create a folder structure for each request? That way you're able to track all the content wrapped around that request, be they documents, video, audio, images, and so forth. And once that review or case is completed, will additional follow-up be needed at predefined times, say renewals or updates? If the answer is yes, then probably it does make sense for you to watch this video. So let's get started. In order to quickly start this process, we need to fill out a form. Now, in this particular example, the form, as you can see, is a bookmark in my web browser. Depending on the solution, that form can be triggered from the client's intranet portal. It could be triggered from the Alfresco Share dashboard. With some of our clients, the form is actually loaded from a SharePoint portal. So it really depends on the smartest place to put this form in order to make sure that the users can get it quickly and enter the information. Now in this example, this information is used to do a contract request review. Depending on your solution would depend on the data that would be on this form. The important piece is that data that is entered on this form will be captured in Alfresco, and the users will be able to search on that data. So that way, when they've entered the information, we have that information captured, and they're able to go off and search on it later. Now let me pick my target execution date. This is when I need to get this document signed in this example, and of course the business entity at MicroStrategy I'm dealing with. Now we're dealing with a document that does have an auto renewal, so we want to make sure we've got that renewal date assigned in there. Make sure we can trigger off the appropriate process when that renewal is done. We also want to know, when do we need to get notified? So in this example, we want to be notified 45 days before the contract automatically renews. So I'm going to select a couple other data elements here to get us going. And once I've selected the information I need, such as entering information about why I'm doing this, I will then go off and upload my working documents. This is the idea that says I need to have these documents looked at in order to complete the process. So I've entered my master services agreement. I'm going to grab an exhibit. In this case, I'm going to grab some budget information as an exhibit. And once I've loaded this information, I'm ready to go. At this point, I can submit the form and be able to get the process started. So once we've submitted our form, of course, we've triggered off the review process, case creation, if you will. Let's take a look at what that means. Now, what you're looking at on your screen now is Alfresco Share. In this case, you're looking at my dashboard, which is Adam Storch. Right here, you see where it says My Tasks. These are all the workflow items that I need to work on. Now, depending on how you set this up, the user can go to their dashboard and click on My Task and click the task they want, or they can receive an email notification that'll accomplish the same objective. So in that email notification, I click here, same premise as a link in email, gets them to their task. So now I've got my task and I can claim it. Okay, and this is an example of a workflow task. I highly recommend you take a look at our Alfresco activity video. It'll give you a great understanding of activity and what you can do from a workflow perspective. Now here, what has happened, of course, is we've kicked off this workflow, and in this workflow is a particular item, this one right here. All right, so I did my submit. It kicked off a workflow and built this particular folder. Now, if you remember, we did this for Tempest Enterprises, okay? So it took this particular request and put it underneath Tempest Enterprises. It generated a unique ID, and on that same folder, added the name of the contract in question. So if I click on that, these are all the folders that were created. So a correspondence folder, executed, supporting, and working documents folder. Now regarding correspondence, there's a great video I recommend that'll give you an overview of working with emails, dragging and dropping documents from Outlook, and editing documents in their native application. So I highly recommend you take a look at that, give you a good flavor for working with the correspondence around such a request. Now, we've got our working documents folder here. I'm going to click on that. You see a little thumbnail for the document we loaded. I click on that document, and now I'm presented with a nice little preview of that document as well as information about that document. Now, something quickly I want to show you, Manage Security. This is that security policy we talked about before that's created automatically when you submit the request. So when the request was submitted, utilizing business rules, it went off and created a security policy specific for this particular document review. Okay? And of course, it used that on all the documents below. And depending on your needs, you could have different security on the documents because you've got the ability to have document level security. But the key thing for us is we build that security policy automatically. It assigns that policy to anything wrapped around this request. Now, if you remember, I talked to you about when you filled out that form earlier, all that information is all here. So all that information that was entered as part of that form entry process is, of course, searchable. So now, and information that was captured initially is there, and it can enable you to search and track this particular request. So now we're back to the dashboard. Really quick, I want to show you this lookup piece where it says vendor right here. I can enter Tempest. Remember, that's the name of the company we're dealing with, and I hit search folders. And for Tempest Enterprises, here are all the requests that have been submitted. Here's ours right down here, solution support. And here, of course, is the status for each one of those. If I want, I can choose a particular status under review, search folders, and here's all the ones that are under review. So from my dashboard, I'm quickly able to get to a particular request if need be. And of course, I can either click on this link, which will take me to the Tempest folder, or click on this link and it'll take me to the solution support folder. Again, here's that folder we were just talking about moments ago. So as you can see, a lot happens just by hitting that submit form. So let's review. Well, what we did do was, one, we automatically created a case or request for review. We also automatically generated a unique ID for that request. We automatically created a security policy specific to the generated request. That way only the right people see that particular request. We automatically created a folder structure for storing all involved content, document, images, video, and WAV files. And of course, that folder structure will be based on your needs. We also automatically executed a workflow based on this particular request. So based on the type of request, there might be different workflows. We automatically executed that workflow. And we notified the appropriate people via email about the pending work. Now, another couple of videos it probably makes sense to take a look at because we brushed by certain pieces just to keep the video tight. One is the Alfresco Outlook and MSI Office integration video. Great overview of how to work with MS Outlook as well as living in the native Office applications. Great for the editing portion as well as working with email. Also recommend the MicroStrategies Security Management module. As you saw, we automatically created security policies during this process, but what's nice, you can edit those and create your own, and that's what that video will tell you about. As well as the MicroStrategies activity video. There's a few of them, and those videos will give you a great overview of what you can do with activity, how easy it is, as well as reporting, okay, the business intelligence aspects or analytics aspects of your workflows. So 3 videos I highly recommend you take a look at. We appreciate your time today, and feel free to reach out to us to see how we can help you like we help our clients.